Hello and welcome back to Fantasy Hockey Picks and Bets. I'm your host, DJ Mitchell, here to cover. This is the game of the year. You don't get too many opportunities to dive in on such an important. I can't get over how much fun and excitement should be coming up on Monday night as the Arizona Coyotes, the best team in the league in the past 3 games, come in to play the Ottawa Senators. This is intrigue like I couldn't believe. Arizona, Ottawa. I almost don't even feel like I could do it justice. I wanted to get a guest. I called Wayne Gretzky up himself and just, again, he's too excited. He was planning too much stuff around it and couldn't get anyone on, but this is a big one. So we're going to cover the one game, Arizona at Ottawa. I know, take a deep breath. We're going to have fun with this one. So Arizona is plus 130 right now. As I waited to record, it came down. Ottawa was minus 160 the first I checked. It's coming down. It's coming back towards Arizona. This is something where I kind of just want to wait this one out and see what it ends up at before I place a bet. Maybe because it's dropped a bit, maybe it comes down more. I feel like money will come in on Arizona with how they've played as of recent, but they do lose Jacob Chychrun, which is their best player. I don't think that's exaggerating. I don't think that's taking anything too far. He has been fantastic for them, and I know Nick Schmaltz has been the story, but Jacob Chychrun has been on another level. He's not going to play in this one. He's traveling back to Arizona. They're evaluating, and they said they'll have a further update on Tuesday. So he's out in this game. I do think that for, first thing that brings to mind here is Shane Gostisbehere. His, point prop, et cetera, get a bit of a boost. But I do think, like I said, plus 130 Arizona with how they've been playing is going to be the popular bet. That's why I think it might, continue to come down. So if you want to hammer Arizona, that's what you probably do here. Now, I think that the math, at least in my eyes, points to a lot of regression coming in on Arizona very quickly. This might not be one they get up for. At the end of the day, this is not a good hockey team that has played, very well and gotten lucky. And it's like, if you look at the expected goals, they're clearly way outperforming that by a big margin over the last few games. You look at that Boston game, they almost to a T, expected goals were 4 for Boston to 2 for Arizona. They almost pull it off. They end up losing that game. I just think this is going to continue to the wheels come back off again without Chychrun. My plan is to wait this one out and take Ottawa at the closest to even money as I can get them. Ottawa's biggest problem has been kind of at the opposite end of the spectrum. They're giving up way more goals than expected. In a game versus Chicago that they were expected to give up 2.2, they gave up 6. This is just something that should revert back to the mean at some point. They're offensively very inept, as well as Arizona, which is why I do shade the under here. Under 6 at minus 120 is just not that much fun, especially with how bad the goaltending matchup should be. I'm not going to bet it for that reason. It just doesn't, these teams are giving up so many goals above expected right now that betting this under is probably just a bad investment of your time and your money. Granted, they should, these are NHL quality goalies. They should be better than what they played. But I do think if you're trying to have fun and enjoy, first off, probably the best advice I could give to anyone is just don't bet this game at all, because take your Monday off and hang out with a loved one, try anything else. But since I'm going to bet on this game because I'm doing a podcast for it, I think what I would suggest is taking a look at players that have been a bit unlucky. I think the easiest, best answer for this is probably Phil Kessel, who has is probably the only Coyote that just isn't scoring at percent. Kessel in the past 10 games is shooting 0%, which is wild. He's not been the highest expected goals guy on this team, but he is a guy that's on the top power play that does shoot the puck a lot and hasn't scored. With Galchenyuk and Krause, yeah, not the best linemen in the world, but they're skilled enough to make something happen. So I do think I'll be looking a little bit closer at Phil Kessel rather than taking Schmaltz and Keller at their inflated prices right now for goals and points. Just not really quite as worth it. Gostisbehere, as I already mentioned, right off the cuff, it is the easiest best point bet for Arizona just because of how much run he's getting. We also had that night when he was on the ice for every single one of their 8 goals, which is just incredible. And that just kind of goes to when this team is rolling on offense, it's Gostisbehere and Chychrun that are doing it. And without Chychrun, that only is going to further boost a guy like Shane Gostisbehere, who, for everything that is wrong with him defensively, he's an unbelievably talented offensive defenseman. So I'm really excited to see what he can do. that's the kind of the guys I'm looking at. Christian Fischer is the other one worth mentioning, I guess, in some capacity, but he didn't play last game, if I recall correctly. No. So gonna have to figure that out if he's going to be back. He's missed at least one game. I could not find anything on him, but he did not, no, one more time, no, did not play against Boston. So I didn't see anything indicating much. There's no DraftKings slate up yet, so I could really look into the injury, and he's the only, if he's in and he gets top 6 run or something, maybe he's of interest. Just because he actually does have a better shot than probably maybe anyone on this team. Is just, he's not skilled enough to use it quite as often. So he's a guy to look into. On the other side of this game, I already kind of got into a little bit of Ottawa stuff, but yeah, this team is just not very good. They're missing Batherson. That doesn't help, but I do think Shabbat is an absolute difference maker in every capacity. He's not quite getting the 30 minutes maybe we're used to, but in a 6-3 loss, you really got to keep running that guy out there. Probably not. Him and Zub were the only good players on their defensive core in that game against Chicago. Everyone else got bullied. Zeist and Holden got massacred. Brandstrom and Brown didn't play a ton of run, but they didn't look very good. Shabbat scored. He was on the ice with Zub for 2 goals and 1 against 5-on-5. They got bullied on. They got a shorthanded goal, and they gave up 1 on the power play as well. Forsberg was terrible. It's already got you a net. Tough break. I don't think he's the worst goalie in the world, but he plays really bad against Chicago. So we take a look at just their last game in general. I think the name that's going to probably stand out the most as could be a potential value to score, or a guy that's going to be popular in a showdown slate in DFS is probably Connor Brown. He gets the top line with Norris and Brady Tkachuk. I think Ottawa's offense is so reliant on Brady Tkachuk that you go down the lineup and it really is tough to find any value or any players you feel really good about. So, stacking through the Tkachuk is obviously the way to go. Connor Brown doesn't get any power play one time, but he is on the second unit. So, yep, take that for what it's worth. Brandstrom on that second unit, he's a good offensive player, but doesn't quite get enough run. Maybe in a game versus Arizona, if you think, maybe Ottawa does actually take care of business at home and they take this one handily. I don't think Brandstrom's a terrible play because he could be involved offensively, but more than likely, the beginning stack for any Ottawa team with success is probably Shabbat or Brady and the captain. That's the easiest starting point. If you want to go with a showdown slate that is going to be a onslaught of Ottawa, obviously their goalie should be involved with the win, and you're hoping that no one on Arizona has more than 1 goal. If you're gonna kind of go with the onslaught, then I think that is the obvious starting point. There's a couple of guys on Ottawa I think of note that you could consider, but I would be hard pressed not to stack through the power play. Stützle, Colin White is the guy that might be the randomest guy that I'll mention on this because he wasn't the first power play, which was a little bit surprising. So it was Norris, so I hadn't even said Josh Norris's name yet, another really good rate shooter that obviously pairs incredibly well with Brady Tkachuk. Was the center with Connor Brown and Brady Tkachuk. He's also on the top power play. So those 3, Shabbat, North, and Tkachuk, with Colin White and Stützle. Stützle was with Gaudette or Menton, 5-on-5. Not great. Not terrible. Formenton isn't the worst player in the world, but I guess what I'm getting at is there's, I think, easier ways to talk yourself into bad or lower tier, less owned Audible players being in minorly better spots with the way they've kind of spread the wealth as much as they can with being not good. But I wouldn't get too crazy with their defenders. I think you're just playing Shabbat no matter what. I think that you could reasonably take his shot prop. It isn't perfect. We look at that game against Boston. He has the goal. He has 3 shots on net. He hits. He also had 4 get blocked. That's going to happen with defenders, but that is just not something we should be expecting. So Shabbat's probably right up there with Brady as my favorite shot on goal prop. But Shabbat, you're going to get at 2.5. And I think that's much safer. Brady is a guy that only had 2 in the last game. He had 2 missed the net. Could have hit the 3.5 over, which I'm almost positive is what his line is going to be at. And now New York is going to have shot on goal props back. So if you're in New York and you're listening to this, you can bet this now. It is back as of Saturday, kind of late in the midday. It came back. So you can bet these things. I'm probably going to look at Shabbat as one of my favorites. And feel, I think that he's probably your, the guy who's going to shoot the puck enough to get there. I would say he's going to do it. Are they going to get on net? I feel safe about it myself. I'm going to roll with it. As far as Arizona is concerned, I kind of alluded to it already. Favorite shot props probably going to end up being Kessel or Schmaltz. Those guys are just shooting a little bit more. Keller's right there, but I think he'll be priced out of consideration. I'll have to see tomorrow where it's at, but I don't think Kessel is a much worse play than either of them. As far as the shot on goal prop, because of the way he shoots. And if you look at that line, they want him shooting the puck, and he's on the top power play, and they are feeding him just as much as the others. Schmaltz has never been the best rate shooter in the world. This has kind of been a really nice renaissance for him, and we're seeing a guy that is, but there's the thing, in the past 10, like I mentioned, 33% shooter, but he also is shooting per 60, I think about almost exactly 2 shots less than Phil Kessel. Actually almost right on the number. So, it is something that he is getting better opportunity with better line mates to get those shots on net maybe, and that's why it's hitting more often. But, Kessel's not a bad shooter in his own right. So I think those are Chabot, Tkachuk, Kessel, and I really, Keller or Schmaltz. I got to see what the lines are exactly. If it's Keller minus like freaking 160 to get over 2.5, I probably just don't do it, but maybe where I'd rather look at a guy like Chabot, closer to even money over 2.5, that I think is a lot safer in this matchup. These two teams do give up a fair amount of shots against to a lot. So I think that this game could end up having good pace and a lot of shot opportunity. And I think there could be some shot props that hit over. So I think I covered a lot here. Favorite bets of the night. Well, there's one game. I'm just going to try to get Ottawa as close to even money as I can find it. I'm going to shop the books, look around. I think that it's going to continue to drop. Arizona's without their best player in Jacob Chikrin. So just give me Ottawa. I think they're just a better team here, and Arizona is going to fall off the wagon sooner or later. This team is not going to continue to shoot and outscore expected goals with how bad the skill is on this team. So I'm going to be betting against them as we're getting lines of, like I said, a team at home against Arizona minus 150. That sounds amazing on paper, but I understand a lot of hesitancy is going to be here with how good Arizona Coyotes have been. Now I'm going to get on out of here. Enough for one game. Definitely didn't have some same game parlays as well. So if you're going to do a same game parlay, I think that it's going to be, for me at least, I'm probably just going to do, if I could get Goss's fair point in it, I'm going to do that. Some sites let you do that, some don't. So you have to shop that around. If you need to just do goal scorers, I think if you're getting crazy, Colin White actually led the Senators in expected goals against Chicago. I don't love it, but he's on the top power play. So I think you could do a heck of a lot worse than a guy that's going to be like hopefully plus 300 or above, maybe right around that mark. Chabot is just fine as well. They should be right around the same realm. I probably wouldn't put both of them in there because you just kind of hope one of them gets that power play goal, and betting on both of them, it's gonna be tough. Brady Tkachuk should probably make your mix as well. And then on the other side in Arizona, if you get crazy, I think, like I said, Phil Kessel. Him and Krause actually were better at expected goals against Boston than anyone on the Schmaltz Keller line. So I think that you can look at Kessel, and feel really good about him as a guy that should be getting more goals than he has been. And this is a good spot for him to get one back against probably some weaker depth in Ottawa. So get you out of here. A lot of stuff for one game. Enjoy the Super Bowl of hockey, and I will talk to you on Friday.